Hi, this is Nuri speaking again, the author of the book, Leading the Unknown, Strategies for Managing Remote or Gig Workforce. In this second video that I have today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the research that I made, and also I expressed it in my book quite in depth on how if you're going to lead or how if you're going to work with people who are remote and you never met before. It might be someone in Spain, that person might be someone in Taiwan, it might be a person in Japan or United States. There are cultural differences, and many people talk about cultural consciousness. You need to be aware of the culture. In my book, we talk about the culture as well in depth and some practices, but many people miss the generational differences of the people that we work with or we communicate with. And especially if you are going to lead that persons, you need to be really very well aware about the culture part of it, but also you'll need to be really very well aware of the generational part of it. Most of the people, if they are remote workers, most of the people, if they are gig and freelancers, possibly you don't know when you hire them, when you start working with them, when you lead them, unless they put a camera. Some people look younger in the picture, some people look older in the picture, and it's very sensitive to ask the age of someone, but still you need to really have very intense, conscious approach when you are dealing with those. So I took some notes. We are going to take all of that notes into consideration, and I'm going to discuss all of the generations and what research says about how we would like to approach to those individuals so that we are inclusive, we are diverse, and we are respecting people's preferences. And again, in my book, Leading the Unknown, you have a lot more details about that and some practices. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the baby boomers, the generation baby boomers. These are kind of identified, born between 1946 and 1964. What they really look for in work life, according to research, is they look for job security, stability, accomplishment, and upward mobility. So that's what they're kind of generally speaking. There are always exceptions, but this is what research says, and all of the surveys that has been done for those individuals and with that individual says. So what are the preferred communication methods for remote workers, especially if they are baby boomers? Email, phone calls, only video conferencing for key meetings, and they really appreciate direct and personal communication. That's what they really respect, right? And when you look at the work-life balance psychology, they tend to prioritize work as a significant part of their identity. So they identify themselves with work. So work defines them. That is very, very interesting. So you need to really search for more information about that psychology. But they really gradually start appreciating the value of work-life balance as they move towards retirement, right? So when you approach people that are baby boomers, you need to really be aware that those people's communication preferences are email, phone calls, not a lot of video calls only for key meetings, and direct personal communications. And also they identify themselves with their work. The work defines who they are. There are so many research about that, and this is pretty much a reality. Now let's go to the next generation, which is Generation X. I am part of the Generation X. Those people are born between 1965 and 1980. What they look for in the work life is work-life balance, flexibility, autonomy, career growth, and freedom. To be honest, that is me. Work-life balance is very important for me, providing work-life balance as well, flexibility, autonomy, and career growth. These are things that Generation X, that I belong proudly to, value. What are the preferred communication methods, especially for remote workers or gig and freelancers, which are in the majority of the cases remote workers? Email, text messaging. Text is also good for us. Efficient use of project management tools. Yes, that dinosaur that still is using like project management tools. That is how we are structured. That's how we are grown up. That's how we are planning things, right? So our generation, Generation X, really value clear, concise communication and respect for their time. It is very important. Our time is really, really very precious, and people need to respect that. So if you're leading people in a team, imagine that you have baby boomers and you have Generation X. We are going to talk about more generations. You need to be very conscious all the time on how you communicate with them, try to adapt, and also comfort them as much as you can. It's a difficult task. That is the reason why management, as we speak today, will not work in the future of work. Companies need to stop hiring managers and doing management assessment. They need to find leaders that are conscious about all of this. And of course, advertisement. This book covers all of those practices. Now, for a Generation X, what is the work-life balance psychology? So those people who belong to Generation X, they highly value work-life balance and are known as the first generation that significantly, vocally advocate for it. Often, they seek for flexibility to manage family and personal interests. Really, boom. This is what it really defines Generation X. Again, there are always exceptions, right? There are people who are more like baby boomers. There are people who are going to be within Generation X like more millennials, or there are people going to be like a kind of a mixture. But generally speaking, this identifies the Generation X population. And then let's go to the millennials, Generation Y. For me, it was like, hey, they don't know anything. They don't want to work. My perception about millennials is that, hey, they don't want to work. But it's not like that. They are different. So as a leader and a person who is leading a team, remote team that you really don't know, you need to be really very conscious about those kind of facts, and you need to adapt to that as well. Millennials that are also called Generation Y, they are born between 1981 and 1996. For them, meaningful work, flexibility, collaboration, and positive culture is really very, very important. How do they want to be communicated? Instant messaging applications, surprise, surprise. Social media platforms, surprise, surprise. And video calls. They value video touch, at least if you are remote. They enjoy collaborative platforms that allow continuous and instant communications. They are communicators. They want the information, they want input, they want to be vocal, they want to share, they want to express, and they want to listen to the people who express themselves. Very important point. So can you imagine you have a baby boomer and a millennial in a room, and you leading that? It's a talent, and it can be trained, and you can be conscious about that. But again, my book talks about all of this, and that's the reason why I think that this book is really unique in the market. Now, from the psychology of work-life balance perspective, the millennials, which are Generation Y, they place a high emphasis on achieving a strong work-life balance. They seek for jobs that are offering flexibility and opportunities to blend work with personal life effectively, not on paper. They are also more likely to experience burnout due to constant communication, information overflow. So you need to be cautious that despite the fact that they are really constantly communicating, hey, we need to really have the doses of communications to them, and also try to guide and coach them on being able to stop the communication when they are not working, for example. Last but not least, in this video, I'm going to talk about the Generation Z, right? Still more for a Generation X like me, they don't want to work, they don't know what the value of the money is. No. These are all perceptions. You as a leader need to be conscious about that. And when you work with those individuals, you need to consider what are their preferences for the work and also for the work-life balance. Generation Z, they are born between 1997 and 2012. They really value work-life balance. They value nowadays job security. But most importantly, which I like as a Generation X, is that they're really conscious about diversity and inclusion and social responsibility. What a great thing, So for me, I can learn a lot about the world of the worldview of Generation Z as a Generation X person on diversity, inclusion, on sustainability, social responsibility. They're my teachers. And, whenever I get to know and work with someone as a leader, I really want them to expose all of that thinking to the rest of the team so that we can all learn together. A lot to learn from them. They of course like the communication style. From the communication style perspective, they like instant messaging, video calls, the use of emerging social media platforms, the new kind of things, and say, hey, look, why do they really like this, right? They prefer quick and efficient communication, often through visual and digital means. Remember, as a Generation X, I like text messaging. I like to read text. I like project management tools. Generation Z is more visual, videos, right? And that's short communications that are impactful and effective. If you're a leader, you know what to do now, right? So from the work-life balance psychology perspective, they are extremely conscious of work-life balance from early stage in their careers, with a very strong focus on mental health and importance of disconnecting from work to recharge. You need to, as a leader, be conscious that, hey, they need to disconnect completely from work to discharge. You need to enable that environment. Remember, the baby boomers, they identify themselves with the work that they do. But generations that they need to disconnect completely to recharge, right? And of course, they advocate for very clear boundaries between work and personal life. Lots to learn from Generation Z. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, there's a lot more in my book, Leading the Unknown. I hope that you get it from Amazon, only available in Amazon, in Kindle, also in paperback formats. Hey, please please also comment, give your ideas there, and also share the channel so that people can learn. Looking forward to the next video. Have a good day, everyone. Ciao.